Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Bible lessons in the book of Judges. Today we'll be talking about a second judge, and that judge's name is Gideon. Why Gideon? Why did God choose him? Because he had many good character qualities. Well, we're going to find out what those were, and then we can put them in our lives so that God can use us like he used Gideon to serve him. It's important as a Christian to have good character qualities. You know this song? Do you know, oh Christian, you're a sermon in shoes. People are watching you to see the Lord. Do you know, oh Christian, you're a sermon in shoes. Do you know, oh Christian, you're a sermon in shoes. Jesus counts upon you to spread the gospel news. So walk it and talk it and live it and give it and teach it and preach it and know it and show it. A sermon in shoes. It is important how we live and what's in our life for people to see the Lord. And God knew Gideon and God knows us. Well, Gideon lived hundreds of years after the people entered the Promised Land. And the Promised Land was wonderful. It had the fruits and the vegetables that God had told them. It had the fields of grain. And it had lots of sheep and lots of cattle. It was a wonderful place for them to live. But I'm afraid to tell you that the people, after they'd been there a while, began to disobey God's laws. And they didn't worship him anymore. How can this be? They were breaking God's commandments. I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt have no other gods before me, and thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Well, they weren't listening. Joshua had warned them before they went into the land. You're going to have to make a choice. You're going to have to choose. And he told them in verse 15 of Joshua 24, choose you this day whom ye will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. They had all said they'd do it, but now years have gone by, and I'm so sad to tell you that they aren't doing it. You know, we have a choice to make. Maybe you're serving the Lord now, but will you your whole life? We have to choose that we will. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. That means no quitting. Well, God had to punish them for doing this, so God sent a large army of the Midianites into the land to punish the people. Well, what happened? For 7 years in a row, right when they had harvested their crops, the soldiers of the Midianites came into the land and took away all their food, all their crops that they had harvested. Like I said, 7 years. And God's people were getting hungry. And God's people were so scared of that army that they hid in caves and dens in the mountains. Well, Judges 6:7 says, and it came to pass that the children of Israel cried unto the Lord because of the Midianites. Wow, they finally realized, I bet we better go back to serving the Lord and we better go to him for help. Oh Lord, they said, our enemies, the Midianites, are coming to attack us. Please save us. Well, God heard their prayers, and God sent an angel. And guess who he went to talk to? He went to talk to Gideon. Well, the angel saw Gideon. Gideon was hiding because he had some food. He had some wheat that he was threshing, and he was hiding. because of the Midianite army. And the angel appeared unto him and said, "O thou mighty man of valor." What's valor? Well, valor is courage. Well, Gideon didn't feel very courageous. He was hiding anyway from this army. And he said, I'm not very courageous. He said, if the Lord is with me and my people, Gideon asked, why has all this trouble come? And Gideon said, where's all the miracles which our father told of us, saying, did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has forsaken us, and the Midianites come and take all our food. Wow. The angel told him, you're the one who will save your people. Huh. And Gideon's like, me? Why me? My family's poor, and my brothers are all older and more important than I am. What can I do? This is another good character trait. He's humble. He's not saying, oh, yeah, I thought he'd pick me. I'm so good. No, he's not proud. He's humble. He says, what can I do? Well, the angel had a special promise to give Gideon, a promise from God. Surely I will be with you, God says, and you will defeat the enemy. Wow. Well, Gideon made some food to give to the angel. And Gideon still wasn't sure about this while he's cooking that food. So he's going to ask the angel, I need another sign showing me that you've really chosen me to defeat the enemy and save my people. Gideon brought the food to the angel, and the angel told him to put the meat and bread on this rock and pour the broth on them. That would make it all soggy, huh? And Gideon did what the angel told him, and then something amazing happened. The angel touched the soggy bread and meat with his staff, and fire leaped out of the rock and burned up the food. Wow. Then Gideon knew he had really been talking to the Lord, and he was afraid. And the angel was gone, the Bible says. So Gideon built an altar unto the Lord and worshiped the Lord. That night, the Lord gave Gideon a job to do, and it wasn't an easy one. The Lord asked Gideon to throw down his father's idol of Baal. This was an altar where the people of his town worshipped a false god. Gideon was afraid to do this. He knew that his family and neighbors and friends might be mad at him, enough to kill him. So Gideon took 10 of his servants at night, and they did it. They worked all night and tore down the altar of Baal, the false altar, and they put up an altar unto God. Wow. Well, the next morning, the people of the town saw the altar of Baal fallen down, and they were angry. And they checked out, who did this? Who did this? And they found out it was Gideon. So they went to Gideon's house, to his father, Joash. And he said, bring Gideon out. We're going to kill him. And Gideon's father wouldn't bring him out. He said, Gideon broke down the Baal altar. If Baal is God, then let Baal punish Gideon. So the people all went away. And Gideon was safe because Baal isn't really a god, is he? Well, God was going to use Gideon, and Gideon was kept safe by God, wasn't he? Well, Gideon, the Midianite army, came into the land again. Oh, I forgot to put this up. He was obedient, wasn't he? God told him to break down the altar, and he did it. Whoa, he did it. So that's an important quality trait for us too, isn't it? Obedience. We're learning lots of them. Well, the Midianite army came back, and they brought other armies with them. And there were a lot of them. And the people were afraid. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, the Bible says, and he blew a trumpet. And he blew the trumpet, and he sent messengers to go into the land and tell that they needed an army. So the men started coming from all over to fight in Gideon's army. And Gideon still wasn't sure about all this. Oh, here's my trumpet. Sorry. He's like, I don't know. I got to talk to the Lord some more. That was a good trait right there. If we got some problems or something we need to know about, we can talk to the Lord, can't we? We can pray. Well, that's what Gideon did. And Gideon says, he's scared because of all this army, and he prayed and he wants God to give him another special sign. And Gideon wanted to use a fleece. Now, what is a fleece? A fleece is when the shepherd cuts the wool on a sheep. And he cuts the wool, and the sheep, he tries to, like you get a haircut, he takes a razor, and he cuts all around it, and then he tries to keep it all in one piece. And so then it looks like this. So it's the wool from a sheep. And so Gideon tells God, he says, here's what I want to do. Now I want to lay the fleece I have on some grass. And in the morning, I'll do that tonight, and in the morning when I get up, I want the fleece to be sopping wet from the dew. The dew, if you get up early in the morning on a summer morning and run outside, sometimes the grass is all wet and your shoes and feet get all wet because the grass is wet with dew. But Gideon's got something special. He says, I want the fleece to be wet, but the grass be dry. So Gideon did it. He laid it out there. And that night, and the next morning, he came out and the grass was all dry and the fleece was sopping wet. In fact, the Bible says he could wring out a whole bowl full of water from the fleece. So God answered him, didn't he? But Gideon's still afraid. He never led an army. He never even fought in one. And Gideon was so young, he had to be sure. So Gideon prayed again. And he said, Lord, this time I'll lay the fleece out on the grass. And in the morning let the fleece be dry and the grass be wet. So he did it. That night he laid the fleece out on the grass. And the next morning the fleece was dry and the grass was all wet from the dew. So God showed him. God was patient with him, wasn't he? And God showed him, yes, you're the one. I want you to go do this. So Gideon knew that God would be with him and God would keep his promise. And Gideon grew in his faith, didn't he? He could trust God to be with him. Wow. So Gideon, we're going to find out next time, will lead his people to fight against the Midianites. And the Lord will help Gideon win. Hebrews 11:32 mentions Gideon. It's called the by faith chapter. It's got Sarah and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. But it also mentions Gideon. Hebrews 11:32 says, and what shall I more say, for the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and of Barak and of Samson. Barak we talked about last time. And he was and Samson. And these were judges to help God's people. Well, today God's looking for men and women and boys and girls that have courage and they're humble, not proud. They're obedient. They talk to God. They pray to Him about their needs. And they have faith in God to take care of them. Can God count on you? Would He choose you to serve Him? I hope so.